Yet another contributor at Forbes is bashing the SEC. And in fact, in their most recent article, they're talking about how the SEC has to essentially stretch and distort things in order to try and successfully litigate this case against Ripple. So I'm going to be talking about who else at Forbes is going to be jumping into this case and giving his analysis. Also, relist XRP, which here and there pops up on these videos, is now trending on Twitter, and I'm going to tell you why. Also, Elon Musk had a visit to Twitter headquarters and it went viral. I'm going to tell you what he did. I'm also going to take a look at XRP and the rest of the crypto markets and take a look at why it is rising so much, because we have some numbers to look at. Today, specifically, we have the United States GDP numbers are going to come out. Hey everyone, my name is Randy. Welcome back to the Late Night Grind. Right now on this channel, we are covering the Ripple versus the SEC case, as well as other cryptocurrency news, investment markets, and personal finance. So if any or all these topics interest you, make sure you hit that subscribe button, join the Late Night Grind community, and if you do a couple things, I'd appreciate it. Smash the thumbs up button, watch this video all the way to the end. If you do that, I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, guys. Let's jump into it. And before I jump into the rest of these stories, I wanted to make mention that if you are new to this channel, I have turned off the comment section on this channel until YouTube does something about the bots, the scams, all the spam comments that have been littering my videos, especially a lot recently. I did a review a couple of weeks ago and found that 93% of the comments were spam, scam, or bots. So I turned off all the comments until YouTube does something about this. If you want to have a conversation with me, you can do it on Twitter. I'll have a link in the description below. All right, now let's get back to these stories. First, I wanted to talk about what Elon Musk did, as he had a tweet essentially go viral. And what he did, he visited Twitter's headquarters yesterday, and in it he had a viral video. It was him entering the headquarters carrying a sink. Why? Because it said Musk visits Twitter headquarters. Let that sink in, as he carried the sink through the front door. Get it? All right, so regardless of all that, the price of Twitter stock has been climbing recently. It was up over $52.50, which is a little bit more than the valuation that Musk had when he officially offered to buy Twitter. All right, so now let's move over to the crypto segment, because speaking of Twitter, something else on Twitter was trending, and that was XRP, specifically the hashtag relist XRP. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's basically a hashtag that says relist XRP because many XRP holders want XRP relisted on these exchanges, specifically the United States exchanges. Now, why was this going viral? Well, recently, Brian Armstrong, who's the CEO of Coinbase, the largest exchange in the United States, was on a podcast with Anthony Pompliano, and he was talking about several different things within the crypto space. Number one, he said he wishes there would be more collaboration for those in the cryptocurrency space and less tribalism. Now, you can see that that happens all over the place. There is Bitcoin maximalism, there is even XRP maximalism, Ethereum maximalism, as well as many, many others. And I do agree with his sentiment in terms of rather than fighting each other on things, he would rather just see the whole space as the space as a whole 100x together, rather than just specific projects exploding. And so I agree with him on that. But the reason that relist XRP was going viral is because, of course, the XRP Army showed up, and they showed up big time. And they said hashtag relist XRP, Brian, because the SEC has been accusing you of selling unregistered, unregulated securities on your platform, and you didn't remove those. Now we have XRP, which is now looking like it's even more and more likely that XRP is going to be determined that it's not a security. So why not go ahead and relist it now anyway, since you haven't even taken down the ones that the SEC said were unregulated securities. So relist XRP, it's going to go crazy when, in fact, Ripple does win this case against the SEC. And before I move on to what some of the Forbes contributors are now saying about this, I wanted to specifically mention what is going on in this case, because recently we've had even more companies file amicus briefs or are seeking to file an amicus brief in favor of Ripple, and basically explain their use case in terms of how they use XRP, why they're backing up Ripple. And as Jeremy Hogan pointed out on Twitter once again, doesn't the SEC have a single friend that's going to file an amicus brief on their behalf? It seems like these are all for Ripple. There are one or two neutral ones, but all the rest, yeah, they are definitely favoring Ripple. All right, so now let's talk about Forbes and why they are backing up Ripple, or at least they're trying to take an unbiased approach, and which still basically backs up Ripple. in their analysis of what the SEC is doing. So previously, we've had Rosalind Layton, who's a big contributor at Forbes, and she has written several articles specifically regarding this case and specifically regarding the overreach of the SEC. She is the one that called for Gary Gensler to resign and then had that article retracted, which I thought was a bit shady, but nonetheless, she is not a big fan of what the SEC is doing, along with Elon Musk and a bunch of others. But this is the first time that I saw another contributor. This one, his name is Ike Brannon, and he is a former senior economist for the United States Treasury and the U.S. Congress. He is now a contributor at Forbes, and he wrote an article that was just released yesterday. And in it, he is specifically going after the SEC for how it attempts to regulate cryptocurrency and is doing a very lousy job at it. He goes on to attack the regulation by enforcement. He goes on to essentially go after how Gary Gensler is running things at the SEC, and of course, he talks about the Ripple case, and in his analysis, what the SEC is attempting to do is essentially stretch and distort the Howey test, which is the SEC's test to see if something is a security or not. Basically stretch it beyond recognition in order to have it fit this case while going after Ripple. And he makes a few other points that goes into more detail than what some others have pointed out about this case, in that he said Ripple is essentially being sued for being a user of the decentralized ledger, the XRP ledger. A lot of other people haven't said that, and he's absolutely 100% correct. And he makes mention that how all these secondary market trades on the XRP ledger are essentially being called securities or unregistered security trades by the SEC, even though Ripple is essentially just another user of the XRP ledger. So I will drop a link in the description below if you want to go read that article on Forbes. I believe you get 4 free articles on Forbes before they make you pay for other access, but nonetheless, this is the second contributor at Forbes that I've seen in the last couple of months that is now pointing out the hypocrisy and how the SEC just isn't doing everything above board in terms of how it's run, in terms of how their regulation by enforcement is actually causing more volatility in the markets. And it's really not just the crypto space alone that's volatile, but there's outside forces such as this affecting it. And so it's a very informative article. Go ahead and check it out. And finally, to wrap up this video, I want to talk about what Bitcoin's doing because it has just gotten finished climbing about 4% over the past 2 days, and now we're going to be waiting on some big numbers to come out today, the 27th, Thursday in the United States, which is the official GDP numbers that are coming out. Now, this number is very important because a lot of people correlate it to what's going on in terms of inflation, because when you have extremely high inflation, you need extremely high GDP to help stave off hyperinflation and the devaluation of your fiat currency. So those numbers are going to be extremely telling. We're going to be looking at some unemployment numbers coming soon. We just recently found out about some of the housing numbers, which of course, as interest rates continue to rise, we know that new home sales were going to fall, and now they're really starting to fall as we've seen in the last few days. So we're going to take a look at the GDP if you want to follow along on Twitter as these numbers come out and see what that could mean for the rest of these markets. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter and we can have a conversation over there. All right, guys, I want to thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end, for smashing that thumbs up button, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next video.